I am here with Monti of Vista. Monti, thank you so much for joining. Really great to have you. And it is this moment where there's this existential angst happening, not just in private equity, but in your specific sector in software. You know, Vista's made this really large bet on what you all have called the Agentic AI factory. Just on a basic level, what is the big bet that you're making?
Yeah, look, 2.5 years ago, we decided that agents were going to be the future of what software is going to be, and actually the future of what the economy is going to be. And as a part of that, we wanted to help our companies transition to becoming agentic. So what we did is we created a factory. We brought in all the big tech partners. We have Microsoft, we have OpenAI, we have Anthropic, we have Google, and they help us actually build and deploy agents into our software companies. So we started with 0 a couple of years ago, and now we have 52 companies that are deploying agents that automate workflows for software.
Robert Smith had recently made this comment, your CEO, basically traditional enterprise needs to become agentic,
yes,
or they fail. There's a lot of people with a lot of software exposure just, in these halls itself. How much of this industry do you think gets that or is falling behind?
I think people don't understand exactly what agentic means and actually how to deploy it. Look, we were early 2.5 years ago. We've now figured out that it's not just building agents, it's the cost of agents. And that's the thing that you're hearing a bunch. There's a lot of angst around, like, what is the cost of these tokens? What is the productivity of those tokens? So we've gone from building these agents in our factory to maximizing value using this thing called VC2. So that's the thing that we announced last week, which is vector core compute
with
Samba Nova and our partner Intel. So first we did the investment in Samba Nova, and Samba Nova allows us to do really fast inference at very, very cheap cost. And then the second thing we did is we announced vector core compute to have our own access to cheap inference at high speeds. That's the future of where agentic is going.
So does that mean your portcos get that priority access to it? So is there, how much capacity is there at this moment, or is this still very new?
Look, we just launched it last week. We have our first data center already up and running in LA. It's the first big inference center. We're going to have 5 different inference centers by the end of this month. We'll have 50 megawatts up by the end of this year, and the goal is to get to 250 megawatts by next year. So we're going to have a lot more inference and compute accessible to our companies to build more agents.
So it's not only a change in just understanding what agentic is, but it's also just a fundamental change in the business model, because Vista's business model for your portfolio companies, asset light, huge margins, heavy cash flow. How much have you had to rewire your brain as an investor to now be investing in a way that's decidedly asset heavy?
Yeah, so the way to think about it is we service enterprises. At the end of the day, we are the tech provider to an enterprise. And what the enterprises are asking us, number one question 18 months ago, I need to deploy AI. How do I do that? My CEO talks about it on earnings calls. We're like, great, we'll build you agents, and the agents will be built through the Agentic factory. And then today, and basically earlier this year, people are like, wait. The CFO is saying we're spending a lot of money on AI. We don't have anything to show for it. How do we measure it? What's the cost? And we said, you know what? Look, we're going to solve it, and we're going to give you one full package. It's going to include the cost of tokens. They're going to be high speed. It's going to come from VC2, from our own factory, and then our own factory agents will use it, and we will rack and stack it and give it to you as one big solution. The truth is, that's what customers want. That's what they want to buy. They don't want to buy generic intelligence. They want to buy specific intelligence that does specific workflows for their business.
By the way, how on board have your CEOs been with all of this as you've truly made your companies agentic? Because for them, I'm assuming it's quite a large change too.
Yeah, but look, the reality is we work in tech, right? And so every decade or so, there's a giant wave. The last time I was at the job before I had Cisco, it was a job I had before Vista, it was 20 years ago at Cisco, when we went through this giant infrastructure build out for the internet. Now we're going through another infrastructure build out with compute for GPUs and inference. And I think the reality is our CEOs are used to it. They're tech CEOs, and they're very good at execution. At the end of the day, that's what's going to make the difference for software. And you're seeing it in the public markets. The software companies that are performing well, the Datadogs and Snowflakes, have made the pivot to agentic. They're releasing agents, and they're growing faster. And that's what you're seeing in our portfolio.
But again, the transition for Vista, I think, is really fascinating, because there was maybe rightly or wrongly this perception that in the true uptick in the frenzy of 2021, maybe you missed out versus some of your larger competitors when it comes to software. Do you think that this gives you pole position, the fact that not only are you having access to compute, but compute at a specific cost as everyone else is facing this rising price pressure?
Yeah, look, I think the big unlock for us is historically we've been change management agents. That's how we've actually created deals and created returns. Our entire history over the last 25 years is making companies better in change management. And when we saw AI come out, we addressed it from our lens, which is let's create a factory, let's create best practices, let's help people deploy it, let's create these cheap, fast tokens that are coming from VC2. And we've always approached it from an operational lens, and that does give us an edge, right? All these other folks are now running and trying to use deploy codes and trying to catch up. And the reality is the world is moving fast enough where we're seeing it come towards
That's interesting. So those kind of deploy co-models, do you think that's too slow itself, that's not really a successful one?
Look, the reality is, like, if you start a services company, the services company is going to want to generate revenue, and it generates revenue by charging your companies a lot of money, right? Like, in our business, we're making our businesses successful and our portfolio successful, not by making a third-party company successful, right? Our goal is go in and actually have access to the cheapest, and fast is a keyword here, fastest tokens, fastest inference, so we can go capture market share versus our competitors.
So one of the things Robert has also been really outspoken on is just how much this changes the workforce itself. I believe it was at SuperReturn last year that there were audible gasps in the audience when he said 60% of the people in the audience will be looking for a job by this point next year. You see on the ground what happens when you truly agentify a company. He had made the comment, you've already converted 54 of your 93 companies to actively run on AI agents. When that happens, what is the typical percentage of real humans that get taken out of the system?
Look, the reality is, like, the actual job changes, right? When these agents come into play, either you're using AI, and I would argue half that room doesn't even use AI today. By next year, maybe all of them will, but most of them don't use agents.
You think it's half that room doesn't use AI?
The reality is, I don't know if people, today the use case that people use are chatbots and generic search.
Sure.
Are they using AI to actually automate a workflow? It's quite complex to actually use it to go do your day job, right? And I think what Robert was saying is half this room is going to be using agents to automate a bunch of what they're doing. Maybe they do something more higher value, and that's the goal. I'm not a big believer that knowledge workers are going away, but I am a believer that the work of knowledge is going to change. You're no longer just going to be an input-output into a machine. You're going to do real value work, and agents are going to work for you.
Do you think, though, so the rest of the world will face these cost pressures, right? It's a second wave of disruption coming as the cost of compute goes out. Do you think companies are going to have to make real decisions? Because of how much I'm spending on compute, I got to let go of people, and that's the only option I face.
There's two things that are going to happen. One, the infrastructure build-out is geopolitical, meaning we have borders to where intelligence is being built out. The first time around, we were able to build the internet, and you could use compute from China, you could use it from wherever. Now it's actually, you have to use it geopolitically where you are. So that's what's driving the cost of compute. But the hack on that is if you're able to access high-speed, fast tokens, you can go win bigger market share. And that's why we did VC2. We're building VC2 inference centers in existing locations, using existing power in existing buildings, where there's no actual rezoning or any of that stuff. So our ability to go capture a bunch of high-speed tokens quickly will give our customers an outsized right to win.
Well, so it's not only private equity and private capital broadly that is trying to figure this out, it's just corporate America.
It's corporate America.
So in that, you've had some interesting exits in an industry that has struggled for exits. One, notably, a couple months ago to United Health.
Yeah.
How much are corporates turning to you and saying, what solutions do you have in your portfolio that will help us make the leap that you're making?
The reality for corporations is that they're waking up to a world in which they now need to be AI native as well, right? The thing that the healthcare providers, insurance companies, banks, what they've figured out is if we don't adopt AI, we may not have a right to win over a 20-year period. So what are they doing? They're acquiring assets that have AI in them and deploying them internally. So actually, I think what you're going to see is non-tech companies increasingly buying software, AI, agentic businesses to help them transform. And that's what happened last time around. So last time we went from on-premise to SaaS, and a bunch of these cloud businesses got built. You saw a bunch of strategics jump in and buy cloud businesses so they become more cloud. Just
with that, how have valuations changed? Because software as a whole obviously took a hit in the SaaS apocalypse. If it's an agentic AI software company, are we still commanding like 20 plus still?
It's massive. It's a massive difference. The first time you saw it was 2 times revenue for on-prem. It was 6 to 7 for SaaS. What you're seeing on the agentic side is 15, 20, 25 times. It's a massive multiple. The biggest thing is we've uncapped our ability to generate revenue now, right? So historically, people don't realize that all of our revenue was capped by the number of knowledge workers. It was per seat. And now we have all these agents running around automating workflow, and they can be uncapped. So as long as you're doing something that's providing productivity, and that's the key, right? Like you see the messages coming out from the big CEOs. What do the tokens cost? How are you using them? What is the productivity? We can show you the productivity of our software, and we can tell you, hey, we can serve you at VC2 through a higher speed, lower cost token. And businesses are, oh, that's going to help me adopt.
Monti, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time this morning. It's been so interesting. Dani, with that, I'll send it back to you. That is Monti Saroya, the co-head of the Flagship Fund at Vista and a senior managing director.